So my pleasure to invite the next speaker, Dr. Partha Biswas. Of course, he doesn't need any introduction. And he would be talking about a very important topic in phakic IOLs, which is about sizing and how to get it best fit all the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and I'm really happy to be a part of the Refractive Specialty Day. Thank you, Sheetal. If I open my statement with so how many of us do phakic IOLs? Okay, so for us who do phakic IOLs, this topic is important. But for the ones who do not do phakic IOLs as yet, the topic is supra important. Because this is one place where if we are not accurate, despite our understanding, if we are inaccurate, this can lead to problems, and how to manage these problems are going to be very important. And this particular aspect of sizing is something that deters a knife surgeon to go in for this procedure, though he might be a very, very high volume cataract surgeon. So what are the pearls of this white to white? And there are certain measurements that we need to take during for the sizing of the IOL. And the anatomical white to white is what is calculated, and this has been the norm and the protocol when we do a sizing of the ICL. So let's look at the meta-analysis, and in this particular study, 77% of the eyes had acceptable or ideal vault calculated with the white to white. And there was this large number of 1387 which were followed up for 10 years. And overall, the surgical intervention post ICL was just about 0.8%, which really means that the formula that we are sticking to is a good formula until something better comes in, or until more variables are placed into the formula to derive a better and a more consistent ICL dimension. This should work. So it is a methodology that is proven and superior in terms of predictability of the vault to use with the white to white and the ACD, which remains the most popular and the best studied technique. And if we keep these in mind, then how do we go about it? So the white to white with a caliper measurement is something that is very important, and you have to measure the white to white. There is a gray zone just beyond the dark zone of the limbus, and there is that white zone just after the limbus ends. So if you have a large gray zone, you need to measure the mid of that gray zone from the gray to the white so as to be as accurate as possible. The caliber has to be very well calibrated. The eye, of course, has to be pre-treated with anesthetic drops. The eye should not be dilated, because if we are taking it on the microscope light might be too strong and the eye might be moving all the time, and you might injure a part of the cornea or the conjunctiva while taking the measurement. Patient needs to be in supine position. It is best to have a caliper measurement with the operating microscope in the OR room. However, certain very experienced surgeons do take it on the slit lamp, and if there is a proper predictability, one can go ahead with that as well. So we know that the OB scan was a very, very accurate measurement of the white to white, but we do not have the OB scan at many situations now, and thereby the IOL master has become an important tool. However, the IOL master overestimates the white to white, and we have to be very cautious about the pterygium pigmented areas and any discrepancy between the two eyes. If there's a discrepancy between the two eyes, you have to be very careful, because this usually does not happen. And the eyes should have approximately same white to white measurements. So if you look at the ACD, and the ACD is defined as the distance between the corneal endothelium and the anterior crystalline lens, and this has to be measured, and this can be measured both by the OBSCAN or the IOLMaster or the Pentacam as well. Now let us look at this IOLMaster reading that it gives, and you can see that it shows a white to white of 11.3. When we measured this patient with the caliper, the digital caliper, it gave us 10.72, and that was consistent. So it is the digital caliper that we'll take into value. However, what we will do is we will remember that there is this particular difference of about 0.6 to 0.7 microns between the digital caliper and the IOLMaster, and that should be as consistent as possible. So it actually gives 0.57, 0.6 to 0.7 is what you can take, and the Pentacam shows a high by 0.2 millimeters. So the IOL sizing and the ACD value is provided by the OBSCAN, or you can use it from the Pentacam. And when you have the ICL sizing, the vault is something that you have to be very particular about. So 250 microns to 750 microns is what a normal vault is to be. However, we'll come to that part later. If it is an undersized and less than 0.125, should we go ahead and explant this ICL? Will it cause cataract? So that is something that we need to answer, and the answer is we should not jump into explantation unless it is less than 100 microns. If it is 50, 70, 80 microns, we should explant right away. But if it is up to maybe 100 microns and plus 120, 25 microns, we can still wait and watch. But it is an undersized ICL and you have to watch it. And oversized ICL more than 1,000 microns may push up the iris and close the angles, as we know. And this is a high vault ICL that you can see. So a small PI has been done for this patient. We are following up this patient for quite some time now, and this patient is not doing too badly as of now, even with a high vault of about 800 plus. So this is something with a low vault, and a low vault has to be very, very specifically followed up. Now look at this slide that we come to the next one, and you can see that we did an ICL, and on day 1 follow-up it shows 189 microns. When we ask the patient to come back after a week, it shows 260 microns. A month later, again it's 189 microns. 2 months later, it is 83 microns. 5 months follow-up, 112 microns. Same machine, same calibration of the ASOCT. And this is a variation that we noted. Now, we are following up this patient. We definitely do not want to take out the ICL. And it's only clinically, if we feel that there is some amount of cataractous change coming around, it is then that we should take out this ICL. However, if it is less than 100, please explant the ICL and put in a fresh ICL, which is not a difficult proposition at all. Now let us look at this one with a high vault more than what you expect, and day 1 it is 804 microns. But a week later, this comes down and it is 598, and 2 months and 5 months follow-up, it is at around 533 microns. So which could mean that there was some amount of viscoelastic left, and this possibly got removed during the course and it settled. And this is what we have. So let's not be too hasty in explanting an ICL, but if it has to be explanted, it is not a difficult thing to do. So a quick show of how we explanted this ICL, and it was a toric ICL. So it's not difficult, but the right technique has to be done. And here what you can see is I'm prolapsing out the proximal haptics, and once the proximal haptics are prolapsed out over the iris, then with the same forceps we pull it out, and hand over hand we remove the ICL. It is important that we use high molecular weight viscoelastic. Another thing that is very important is not to prolapse out the distal haptics together, then what happens is the proximal and the distal haptics, if it sits on the iris, then it becomes a convexity and you cannot get a hold or a purchase on the ICL. So it's very important that while you're removing with your forceps the ICL, it's only the proximal part that has to be prolapsed out of the sulcus, and thereby you can get a good purchase and remove it. And placing the ICL back again, the right ICL back, is not so difficult, and it's just that the iris will tend to come down a little, but you can use viscoelastic methyl cellulose, even if you can use sodium hyaluronate, and it comes out in a bolus. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. To conclude, selecting the appropriate sizing and the visual outcome and the patient satisfaction is important. Meticulous preoperative assessment and intraoperative planning. A very consistent follow-up in these patients who are either undersized or oversized, and prioritize the precision, and that's the journey to a clear vision. Thank you very much.